Welcome back to Diggers TV. Can we call this one an episode? I thought for this video I'd try to put together a more storytelling style. So here it is, a Diggers TV race recap. Okay, let's talk about goals. One thing I learned from Dad, thank you Dad, is to set a goal for every outing. Early on it was to just get down a staging routine. Later it was improving my lights, and all of those goals have kind of become cumulative. They keep adding on each other every time I go out. So little goals each time for every outing at the track. And you focus on one, you get good footing for that, and then you work on the next one and kind of build on the previous work you've done. Coastal Plain Dragway, Jacksonville, North Carolina. It's about 90 minutes from where I live, and it's kind of become my home track. So most Friday nights they hold a test and tune. And in this case, it was going to be followed by a bracket race the following day. And the goal for this particular outing was a few things. It was the first time towing to the track with the RV. I've got a 36-foot motorhome towing my 28-foot trailer, so quite a bit longer than when towing with just my truck. And all that actually went super smooth. And I could do like a whole nother video discussing all the things that went into putting that digger train together. But let's talk about the main goal, besides going as many rounds as possible. It was to get the car to have more consistent 60-foot times. More consistent 60-foot times will net you overall more consistent ETs, which in turn, hopefully, would give me a more competitive race setup. Now, one of the reasons my 60-foots have been not so consistent, I believe, is because I had the wrong size and wrong compounded tire on my car. When I got the car, it was set up as a former Super Comp car, running a throttle stop. So the tires are really wide, really tall, and the compound on these Hoosiers, the C07 compound, is a harder, kind of middle, harder compound than a lot of guys are running Mickey Thompsons right now. That tends to be a bit of a softer compound. So when running a throttle stop, the car probably dead hooked the tire, bit really well, which would help it cut a great light, and then the stop would come on, and almost right after that. So, any kind of tire shake or shudder, not really an issue at that point. All that power coming out with the throttle stop on. Then further down track, throttle stop comes back off, full power to the car. You're not really worried about shaking or shuddering or really any spin further down track. So with the throttle stop, the tires probably work great for that. But I'm bracket racing. I'm giving it all go right from the hit, no throttle stop involved. And I was having this tire bite. It would dead hook really well. And then just as it would start to roll out, it would start spinning, kind of get this weird undulation and shudder in the tire. And it was just making the 60-foots way inconsistent. They were going from the best of a 109 to a 115, 117. So just not good. That's way too much of a swing in your 60-foot times. So to tackle this challenge of the 60-foots and my tires not being the right kind of tire and finding a way to make it work, I dove into my MSD grid ignition controller. And there's a setting in there called launch control. I actually did another little video kind of briefly explaining how to set up a launch control. You can look for that on the Diggers TV page. But that feature allows for timing to be adjusted after the launch of the car. And after trying out a few settings, the Friday night test session seemed like the perfect opportunity to try out my latest tune. Crew quarters, driver's lounge.
Hey.
Whew. Nice to have this when you're done making a run. What's going on? So, first time out with the new digs, the RV, up at Coastal Plains. Friday night test and tune. Just made a pass with a new tune. Pretty happy with it. But I'll be really happy with it if it's repeatable. It's cooling down. Track conditions aren't stellar, but they do some prep here, so that's good. There's a bit of a downtime. I don't know if somebody broke something in one of the street cars or something that's running here, so they're doing some track cleanup, but they'll be going for a bit, and I hope to make at least one more run. And what I'm really looking for is that repeatable 60-foot time. If the changes I made in my grid with my shift time, a couple little tweaks to the car, get me a good repeatable 60-foot on subpar cold night track where it might be not so great, I'll be really happy. So I think we'll have something then competitive for the bracket race tomorrow. All right, crew chief is here helping me out. So I made another time hit, pretty happy with it. I think the difference in my 60-foot times was maybe five or six. So pretty close together. Happy with where my lights are at. I think I'm ready for tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some good luck and go deep in rounds, but Friday night test and tune, I would call a success. Now it's hot dog time.
Now, having the RV at the racetrack was so nice. I knew it would be, but you just can't appreciate how nice it is until you're able to use one. Getting up Saturday morning at the track was really beneficial as well, to have that time to tackle a little maintenance on the car. And in this case, it was swapping tires from side to side.
Good morning, diggers. So, oh my God, the tires are off the car. Yeah, so doing a little maintenance. A little Saturday morning maintenance, Brad. Just doing a tire swap, moving them left to right. And first chance really I've had to kind of inspect some of this stuff. It all looks pretty good. Like I got, try to get some better lighting here. Like I got a good amount of pad on the brakes. No crazy cracks and anything. Everything's tight as it should be, so I just kind of hit everything with a little brake clean, since it's easier to get to a lot of stuff once the tires and wheels are off. So we'll be moving these over to the other side here in a bit. I'm going to clean up the back of this one, but not seeing anything sus. All looks like it's pretty good. Nothing crazy. A scratch there, but I don't see any cracks. So yeah, that should help even more today with being consistent on those 60 foots and being repeatable off the line. But yeah, little Saturday morning maintenance before we get racing. We're not supposed to race. Schedule says 1:30 for time hits, so we got some time. I don't know, it's probably about 9, 10 o'clock right now. 9 something. So yeah, do a little cleanup this morning and be ready to go this afternoon.
All right, with the tire swap done, it was time to warm up the car, get ready for our one. We're only getting a one and only time shot. decided for this one and only time shot to test out the left lane. Now, I didn't have a lot of data running that lane since my 2 runs on Friday night were in the right lane. I would go ahead and I thought, hey, I'll run the left lane, get some data from that lane. Now, while I was happy about the 004 light, the 113 60 foot left me with a few doubts. I had not expected the car to lose 200ths and yet run quicker in worse air than the night before. I chalked it up to the incremental times further down track with better track prep on race day versus the minimal track prep they do on a test and tune Friday night. I figured that even though I had better 60 foot the night before, I must have been slipping the tires a little bit further down track on Friday night compared to having better traction on race day further down track. So I was hooking better all the way down track, and you could see it in the incrementals. That's where it was making up the difference to run quicker. Now, typically the track does give drivers 2 time hits on a normal race that I've been there for, but there was a threat of rain coming up in the evening forecast. So now Liam, my son, he's a great weatherman. He's watching all day how the rain chances were looking. And for a while anyway, it was looking like we just might get the whole race in. It was like, whoo, yes. But we'll get back to that in a minute. For now, it was race time. Break in round 1. I was paired up next to this cool S10 truck called the Shaker, and he dialed a 596 to my 507, and he was only red by 004. Now, I went red by 13, but because he went red first, I got the automatic win. They weren't using True Start. So for me, it was on to round 2. Now, round 2 ended up being the only run all weekend where my helmet cam decided it wasn't going to work. But in a wild bit of luck, I happened to find some video of that run on YouTube, this channel called Old Man in the Shop Built Not Bought, which is a really cool channel, by the way. Go check it out. You should subscribe to it and check out some of the videos he's done. I mean, everything from working on hot rods to changing the brakes on your truck. Cool channel. Did you catch that? It's way fast when you watch it at full speed. I was way late on the light, and I'd also just sort of tickled the bulb, so I could have been maybe a touch shallow in the beams from where I normally park it, but I got lucky again because my opponent's light in the G-Body Malibu was 200 slower. Now by the first finish line cone, which is actually not the finish line, but the mile-per-hour clock, I was catching him, and I decided I'd give it the old one rip tater chip, and that still put me 300ths ahead of him at the stripe. I've got a lot more to learn about driving the finish line. I was safe with a 507 on my 505 dial, and kind of looking back at the numbers, it looked like had I stayed in it, I would have run an 06. So I probably killed 1 with my little quick pedal work there, and it's some good info for me for future reference to know, like, hey, that was good for maybe pulling 1 off of it. So on to round numero 3. Now, at Coastal Plains and many of the tracks around here, round 3 is kind of like round 1. It's not Marty McFly back in time. It's just the tracks allow drivers to buy back into the next round if they lose. So in round 1 and round 2, if you lose, you don't really lose. If you want to pay some money, you can buy back into the race. So really almost all the competitors are still in the race come round 3. But after the 3rd round, cars begin to be eliminated. So here we go. Round 3 victory, and this one felt really good. First of all, my starting line reaction time came back to a more competitive level at a 12. Add to that, I think the guy in this super clean. Love this car. Orange Nova. Spun a little bit at the hit because he was 42 on the tree, and then he could only run a 21 on his 6-flat dial. So I lifted way early because I caught him way early. And that's why I ran 5:15 at 1:17. Now, what really made me happy was after I crunched the numbers back at the trailer after that run, is it looked like it would have run dead on my 5:05 dial. And I was starting to get a good string of 60-foot times, 1:10, 1:11, 1:11. So I'm feeling really confident now that I can go deep into rounds. I can get deep into this race, and I got as good a chance as anybody of winning this thing, right? Then, panic. When I got back from the run, I got this routine down of charge it, cool it, fuel it. And typically I let the water pump and fan run for a bit to get the car cooled down. Usually works pretty well. Well, in my rush to get everything ready for the next round, I hadn't noticed that I wasn't hearing my radiator fan. After about a good 5-10 minutes, I came back to check on the temperature of the car, and I see that the cooling system's running, but the temperature's still around 200 degrees. At this point, it should be like under 180. So then it hit me. I don't hear the fan. So I run to the back of the car where the radiator fan is, and sure enough, it's not moving. So I'm freaked out. I'm thinking, well, there it is. I'm done. That's it. Maybe I could get the car cooled down enough for one more round. There'd be enough time given the amount of cars that were still left. But if I won that next round, I mean, the turnaround time is going to pick up significantly, and there'd be no way I could probably get the car cooled down fast enough to start going round robin quicker as cars would be eliminated. So after verifying I didn't have a cooked fuse, the fuse was good, I grabbed a voltmeter, I checked the connector at the fan, and I got 12 volts. So next I try tapping on the fan motor housing that's there, because sometimes when they start to go bad, they kind of seize up a little bit there at the fan housing, and funny enough, you can give them a couple good whacks and it kind of breaks something loose in there, and it'll start spinning again. Tap, 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 I get nothing. I'm getting more worried. So then I try to physically move the fan blades, and as I do that, they're not budging. So now I'm thinking, I bet I've got a small rock, a pebble that flew up in between the fan blade and the side of the fan shroud or housing. Because the way my fan and radiator sit is level behind the engine above my transmission. So easy for rocks to kind of fly in, and while there is some shroud and guard in there, there's still enough room for some small pebbles, something that could have gotten up in there. So a little bit more back and forth, I'm moving the fan around. Finally, it breaks free. And I flip the switch, and yes, I've got a fan again. It's alive. So we're back in it. And that sweet bit of problem-solving victory was short-lived. Because, remember that little chance of rain? Yeah, well, that small chance quickly became a certainty. Liam, he starts shouting at me, now I've got that news, Dad. Now it's coming right for us, he says. So, I'm quickly then trying to get my trailer jacked up so I can get the car into the trailer and put away before the sky just opens up. and haste always leads to waste. So I'm rushing to get the car put away. As the first few drops start coming down, I forget to remove the fiberglass nose of the car, and just barely starts going to the trailer ramp, and it hits me that it's still on there, and I stop, but not before I get a little bit of that nose into the trailer ramp and put some cracks in it. Yeah, but I get that off, and I get the car in and everything put away, bloody nose of the car and all, before the sky does open up. Big downpour comes, but thankfully got everything away. But yeah, I did crack the nose a little bit. So there you have it. I didn't lose, but I didn't win. But there were 29 cars left when they had to call the race, and all 29 remaining cars were able to get $100. So I did get some prize money. I was super stoked about that. And I didn't have to buy back at all. I got through round 1 and 2 with wins. So I saved money there. I didn't have to buy back into the race. And maybe $100 doesn't sound like a lot, but I'll tell you, that $100, that'll pay for most of my entry to next month's Thanksgiving Classic Throwdown, 2-day race at Coastal Plains, where I just learned that all the winners actually are going to get a coveted IHRA Ironman trophy. So hopefully I can nab one of those and not get my turkey cooked. Thanks for checking out this longer race recap on Diggers TV. Let me know what you think. Do you like this longer form, just kind of me spilling all of what happened with some of those videos sprinkled in from the helmet cam and everything else? Or do you rather like, hey, shut up, Eric, and just show me some on-track video? Comment, let me know, and appreciate all the views and subscriptions. Plenty of room for us to grow Diggers TV, and that's on you. If you like it, subscribe, share it with your friends. Please tell people about it, because we appreciate all of it. Really just kind of for us started as wanting to share our racing experience with the family. My cousin, my dad, we're all posting videos here, but we're certainly starting to get some views on some of the stuff we're doing. So let us know what you'd like to see more or less of in the comments. And thanks so much for checking out Diggers TV.